Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad you've been able to join us today. I'm Sharon Spurlock, the Family Education Director for the St. Louis Arc, and I've got three of our favorite people from our favorite place here to join us today on our Q&A. We have got our friends from the Missouri History Museum today. They're going to talk a little bit about their summer programming for children, but also just in general about the accessibility features that are available there. And I was telling them, I perceive them as such trailblazers in this area. We've been working with them on accessibility for many, many years, and I've learned a lot of things from them and their curation and their design of their exhibits and their welcome that they provide in their space. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Emily, Julie, and Hannah, and they can introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their roles at the History Museum. Emily, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Emily Kelso, and I am the K-12 Programs Coordinator here at the Missouri History Museum. Pass it to Julie.
Hi, my name is Julie Davis. I am the Early Childhood and Family Programs Coordinator at the Missouri History Museum, and I'll pass it to Hannah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Ayele. I am the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Coordinator. And thank you so much for the St. Louis Arc for giving us this chance.
Delighted to have you. I know you guys have a presentation. Let's start there, and then I'm going to write questions down while I watch.
So, like Sharon mentioned, we are going to be talking a little bit about general accessibility features, which Hannah and another one of our coworkers have talked about in a previous St. Louis Arc Q&A. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and then we will be talking about some programs that Emily and I and the rest of the education team run. So coming to the museum is really exciting, and it's even more exciting since last Friday we opened up our new front porch or lawn or entrance. So you can see this top photo of the museum, and it has I Heart STL right here in the kind of left-hand corner middle. The front entrance has been completely redone, so all of the sidewalks and ramps. We have a wider porch, so a wider landing in front of that north door that we're going to be using for our Twilight Thursday concerts. If you know about those, it's thousands of people come in May and September for free concerts outside, kind of like the Missouri Botanical Garden Wednesday concert series. Ours is a Thursday evening concert series. So that big platform in front of the stairs, here if you can see my mouse, will be used as a stage, but the steps are better to walk up and down, and the sidewalks and incline of the ramps are just a lot. The sidewalks are newer, so they're not chunky anymore, and the ramps are a lot of like a less steep grade. So we're very excited about the new entrance. It's literally only been open like 4 days, so we're really stoked about it. But just some other general reminders about the museum is that we are in Forest Park. You can see us from Lindell, so we're across the street from all the beautiful houses on Lindell. We're open every day except for Mondays and some holidays. And we're open late on Thursdays. So we're open until 5 p.m. all the other days of the week, and we're open until 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And that is kind of goes nicely because on Thursday evenings, we have free public programs for adults. And that is like a wide range of programs. Sometimes it's a panel discussion on topics that are important to St. Louis communities. Sometimes it is a like movie premiere or book premiere. Sometimes it is a musical or theatrical performance. It spans the gamut. And so that we are open late Thursdays, and then we also have evening programs for adults on Thursdays. They kind of go hand in hand together, and those concerts are part of that Thursday program series. Almost all of our programming is free, which is awesome. All of our exhibits are free. Entry into the museum is free. And I wanted to point out a couple of things near and dear to what Emily and I do is this bottom photo where you can see like the flower cushions and this river decal on the floor. This is one room of the History Clubhouse. The History Clubhouse was opened in 2015. It is our free children's exhibit. So in this exhibit, you get to play with and touch everything. most of the spaces in the rest of the museum, you don't really get to touch very many things. We have a few touchable objects, but in the History Clubhouse, you get to touch everything. We've got blocks and manipulatives and pretend food and books and coloring and a big steam whistle for our pretend riverboat. We've got costumes to put on. I know I mentioned pretend food, but I'll mention pretend food again because it's really important, and children, I mean, pretend play is so important. And yeah, going to the World's Fair Cafe to get lunch, and often lunch is maybe cotton candy and salad, which consists of a piece of lettuce and a slice of bread, that a 3-year-old is serving you at our World's Fair Cafe is very fun. Like I said, all of our programming is free, including school field trips, but school field trips are open to summer camps and organizations and scouts, and lots of other groups like that. We have a reservation link on our website, and if you have questions about how to reserve that for your scout troop or your class or anything like that, we can answer questions. But yeah, so our kind of like field trips that are closed off, that are just for that group, are free, but as well as our free public programs that are obviously drop in. And we have a lot of holiday programs, a lot of big seasonal programs that we do every year. We always have a Dia de los Muertos program. We always have a Halloween program, and those two big programs are very close together. And we also do New Year's Eve celebration and a program that we call Winter Getaway, which is kind of between Christmas and New Year's because a lot of people are out of school, and MLK celebration, which happens MLK weekend. Another exciting thing, these are some photos from those programs. So you can see this is a Dia de los Muertos performance, someone dancing on our stage. This is a Twilight Thursday concert before our lawn got renovated, obviously, because it has only been 4 days. So we're really excited to have more concerts out here. This is another photo in the bottom right of the History Clubhouse. This is our Cahokia Mound section. So there's a few different sections from St. Louis history, like eras and areas, I like to say. So there's a World's Fair section, but then that's right next to a Cahokia Mounds Mississippian section. So, you know, like 1,000-year difference, but the kids have fun in both the sections. It's very cool. And something else that we're really excited about, just like with the new lawn, is that our World's Fair, our 1904 World's Fair exhibit has been completely remodeled. So that exhibit had been up for a while. If you've been to the museum, you've probably seen it. And so it was time to redo it. And we're really, really excited to open that up to guests April 27th and April 28th this year. It's going to have a huge opening weekend celebration. So many multicultural dance and music performances and food trucks and crafts. And I don't even know what else I'm missing. We have been talking about it for months. It is going to be super cool.
We also know that when you visit the museum, sometimes these spaces can feel a little bit overwhelming, or it can be a little bit of a sensory overload, whether that's because the music is too loud or the lights are too bright or there's just too many people. So several years ago, we actually installed a sensory friendly room in our space. It's down on the ground floor of the museum, kind of directly across from the stairs. It is both a sensory friendly room as well as a nursing room, although nursing is allowed and encouraged anywhere that you feel comfortable in the museum. But this is a space that you could use for that if you wanted to. It's also a space where if you just need a break, you are welcome to go. It is a free space. You don't have to check it out. We just ask that if someone's already in there or asks to use it, that you are respectful of that. There's a comfortable chair. There is some bean bags. There are some kind of tactile, touchable items. This picture to the right kind of shows one view of the room with the chair and the bean bags and the touchable items. And then this really cool thing called a hurricane lamp, which is really like a tall tube that just blows colorful little pom-poms in the air and changes colors with the lights. It's very soothing and kids really enjoy that. So this, again, space is located on the ground floor. If you find yourself at the History Museum and you just need to take a break, that is where our sensory room is if you ever find yourself in need of that. And then in terms of accessibility, we also want people to be able to access our gallery spaces, go into our exhibits, and enjoy our museum, having the tools that they need to feel secure and comfortable in those spaces. So we do have sensory kits that are available to check out for free. To check out a sensory kit, all you have to do is go to a welcome desk at either entrance of our museum. We have a north entrance and a south entrance. You can go to either welcome desk and just request a sensory kit. Sensory kits contain a couple of different items, and you're welcome to pick from any of them that might be helpful to you. So this picture, which is on the left side of the screen, is kind of one of the plastic boxes that contains some of the different items that I'm about to describe. So this is what the kits look like. We have a couple of different noise canceling devices. We have noise canceling headphones in a variety of sizes, both child and adult. We also have disposable earplugs if those are more comfortable for you or something that works better for you. You're welcome to try those. We have blue light glasses, which I think might be on the bottom of this particular sensory kit, so they're not visible in the photo, unfortunately. We have a variety of fidget tools, and I like to call these tools rather than toys because I work with students specifically, and understanding that these are items that are meant to help you keep your body active while your brain is trying to focus on what it is you're learning or doing on a program. So fidget tools look like a lot of different things. So they're tools to help us with learning, but you're welcome to use those if that's something, that sensory input is something that you need. We have wrist and ankle weights, and we have kick bands as well. And then we also have cleansing wipes in every box, which we will be responsible for cleaning. But if you would like to wipe down the materials, we make sure to clean them after each use. But if you feel comfortable doing that as well. So these are kits that are available for anyone that needs them. We just ask that these pieces come back to us so that we can make sure that others can use them as well. We also have wheelchairs that are available for checkout as well. That is also a free service. All you have to do is ask at the welcome desk, and they can check out a wheelchair if you find yourself in need of that mobility device. And then in terms of what is actually available in our exhibits, and I know that Brianne linked to the previous webinar, which goes into this in more detail, but in each of our exhibits, there is an accessibility map that will show where the different accessibility features of each exhibit are located. The picture on the screen shows the accessibility map for the upcoming World's Fair Gallery. So it shows a little bit of what is in this particular exhibit upcoming and where to locate them in the exhibit. So the History Museum exhibits feature audio descriptive stations that are accessible either from a headset that you pick up and listen to almost like a phone. The new World's Fair exhibit actually features QR codes instead, so that they are accessible through the QR code feature on your phone. Tactile elements, Julie mentioned that going into the History Clubhouse, you can touch everything in the History Clubhouse. But when you go into the rest of the museum exhibits, not everything is touchable, but we do have a lot of replicas coming out now that are you can touch and feel what the objects would look like or feel like that are out on display. So we do have tactile elements that are marked with a little yellow hand to invite you to touch. If you have questions about that. We do feature ASL interpretation and open captioning on some of our videos. In some of our older exhibits that are upstairs that haven't been renovated yet, the interpretation and open captioning hasn't caught up to those videos yet. It's still in process, but in the new exhibits that we're opening for the World's Fair, all of the videos feature ASL interpretation and open captioning. And then there are large print and braille label binders available at the welcome desks as well. You can check those out to take into the gallery space with you if that is a resource that you need. And I want to conclude this brief chat about accessibility features by saying if there's ever anything that you do need that you don't see listed or that you would like to see, by all means, please reach out to Hannah, to Julie, to myself, or even mention it at the welcome desk that this is something that would be good to have. You can see we do a lot, but we're always looking for how we could be doing more or better. So if there's something that you would like to see us include in future exhibits or in future opportunities, please mention that to us.
So I just wanted to include some of these photos that I found. They are from a few years ago. This top right corner that has a few people looking at one of our rail labels, and it is like a raised photograph, is from a Panoramas photograph exhibit that we had a few years ago. So these photos are from a few years ago, but this also shows a lot of what we do. So we do have, as Emily mentioned, those accessibility features in all of our new exhibits, and some in our older exhibits that are also going to be renovated this decade, and we're super excited. So all of the permanent exhibits are being renovated in the 2020s, and it's really, really exciting and cool. And so, yeah, raised photographs to be able, for people that are low vision or blind, to be able to kind of feel different parts of what that photograph looks like. Relief map of the Muni in our Muni's exhibit that was also a few years ago. We have audio description tours, ASL tours. In the past, we've had memory loss tours. And we also do a really big program that was in July and is moving to October. And I think everyone is very happy that Festibility is moving to October because the weather is so much nicer. I don't want to be outside in July. And it is a huge program celebrating and inviting everyone in the St. Louis area of all abilities and disabilities to come to the museum and check out our exhibits and to test out new things and talk with new people. Like there's lots of like tabling information too from lots of different organizations at Festibility. There's crafts, there's bubbles, there's performances, there are keynote speakers, there is music. It is really, really fun. So some of those photos, like in the left top corner and bottom right corner, are from one of our Festibility programs. So like we mentioned, we have field trips that folks can sign up for year-round. We have seasonal programs that happen, like MLK program is always MLK weekend in January. But we want to talk about programs that are coming up soon. And one of those seasonal programs that the early childhood team puts together and the whole education team runs is our Summer Family Fun series. We call it the series because it's every Wednesday and Friday in June and July. And it's from 10 to 1 p.m., 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Wednesday and Friday. It is drop-in, it is free. It's geared towards kids 12 and under and their caregivers, but everyone is welcome. And so this is just a highlight of some of them. As you can see, Friday, June 7th, Cuentos en el Museo is our Spanish-English bilingual storytelling that happens every fourth Friday of the year, not just June and July, every fourth Friday of the year and every second Saturday of the year. So when I say fourth Friday of the month and second Saturday of the month at 10:30. So we have bilingual storytelling. Often we have ASL at our English story times as well. But we will be highlighting Caribbean American Heritage Month this year. That was a Heritage Month that just like got nationally recognized, I think in 2023, maybe 2022. So it's kind of a new Heritage Month. And we will be having a big Juneteenth program for families and kids with music and dance and storytelling and Black history kind of tours and scavenger hunts and things like that. We are going to be partnering with the Science Center to kind of do a science history day. We just opened, it's a smaller exhibit. It's actually downstairs in our atrium near that sensory room that Emily was talking about. And it is our Eads at 150. So the Eads Bridge is turning 150 years old this year. Happy birthday, Eads Bridge. And when I'm telling my family members and friends from out of town about this, they're like, and we still use the Eads Bridge, right? And I'm like, yes, and we still use the Eads Bridge after 150 years. It's awesome. And so we've got a small exhibit downstairs about building that bridge, which is obviously very sciencey, a lot of things I don't know about. And one of the last programs that I wanted to highlight as part of this series is our Storytelling in the Museum and Craft Workshop for Disability Pride Month. And that will have American Sign Language at it. And we will read some books. We do that at all of our story times. And then we will have a craft workshop. So the Fridays are always a storytelling program. at 10:30, and then a craft workshop that's in from 11 to 1. So a little bit more casual. The Wednesday programs, not that they're not casual, but there's usually like a lot happening, a lot of different things to drop in on. Like I said, it can be a performance, there can be scavenger hunts, there could be touch tables, which is really cool when we put out items from our teaching collection that folks get to touch. So artifacts that now belong to the teaching collections, we can kind of have a little bit more fun with them and not just keep them in a case. And so Wednesdays are usually kind of like big thematic kind of community collaborator performance days, and Fridays are that storytelling and craft day. And I mentioned this a little bit. So this is about our literacy programs or our storytelling programs. We've got 3 different ones. Cuentos, the bilingual program, is the second Saturday and fourth Friday of the month. And storytelling is every Tuesday and Friday. Every Tuesday and Friday, all year at 10:30, you can come and listen to some stories. We've got a range of different themes. We just did Women of the West for Women's History Month. So we talked about kind of pioneers and cowgirls. But then we have themes that are, today we talked about transportation, and we did talk about some historic stuff. We talked about steamboats, but then we'll have themes like pets and patterns and things like that. And we recently, in September, brought back our Museum Babies program, which is geared towards 0 to 2-year-olds. So our youngest visitors coming for a short little story time, 10:10 to 25. And that story time leads into the older kids story time on Tuesdays. So a lot of times families just stay and go to both, and that's totally welcome. But Museum Babies is really fun. We do a lot of like modeling of what some actions that caregivers can do with their littlest kids, because they're learning too. They're learning constantly all the time. So lap bounce, finger plays, and nursery rhymes, and ways to use scarves and instruments and things like that maybe you hadn't thought about before. And with all 3 of these themed literacy programs, Museum Babies, Storytelling in the Museum, and Cuentos en el Museo, at least 1 to 3 of those programs every month has ASL interpretation. We did a trilingual story time with Spanish English spoken, and then the English was interpreted with an ASL interpreter from Deaf Inc.
I've been following the Q&A, so I have been answering some questions for folks, but this might answer a couple of questions that people have. First of all, you do not have to pre-register for any of the programs that we are describing. Just note for yourself the dates and times if any of these look interesting. We can also put in the chat the events calendar from our website, which is mohistory.org/events, and you should be able to find the dates and times for these things. And you do not have to pre-register. Just come have a great time at the museum, and we would love to see you at all of these programs. Everything that Julie was describing over the last couple of minutes is taking place over the summer. So summer family fun happens in June and July. Storytelling and Cuentos en el Museo happen all during the summer. But this program, History Exploration Days, doesn't happen over the summer. It only happens during the school year from September through May. So we'll have one this month in April, one in May, and then we will take a break for the summer months and then come back in September of 2024. History Exploration Days grew out of Homeschool Days. So one of the questions in the Q&A asked about opportunities for homeschool families. History Exploration Day is our program that we specifically gear and think about homeschool families when we're planning. So if you are a homeschooling family, or you know homeschooling families, or if you're just a family who's like, this would be really a fun time for us, all families and learners are welcome at History Exploration Days. They happen September through May on one Friday and one Saturday per month, back to back. So kind of a Friday, Saturday combo. This spring they'll be from 10 to 2, and then in the fall, starting in September, they'll be from 10 to 1 on both days. And we do a different theme each month. Coming up this weekend is our April History Exploration Day, where we will be thinking about transportation in St. Louis history. Now, sometimes we think of transportation as a very little kid topic. Actually, there's a ton of really rich history to dig into here, with a lot of really compelling themes about how people were treated in transportation based on their race or their class or their ability levels. Transportation has not always been accessible. So we'll kind of dig into some of that in a lot of different ways. We'll do crafts, we'll do workshops, we'll do a touch table with artifacts from our teaching collection. We'll have a scavenger hunt through the museum, and then we'll also offer storytelling. So as Julie pointed out, one of the storytellings that we will do will be our trilingual storytelling, where we'll read stories both in Spanish and English with ASL interpretation of the English portion, which is a really cool accessibility feature. So again, this is designed to be from learners of all ages. We have activities for the little babies all the way up through the big kids. And it is meant to be, as one of the questions in the Q&A asked, kind of if people need to take their time, it is really meant to be kind of a choose your own adventure style program. You're given a schedule when you show up. You do not have to pre-register or tell us you're coming. Just check in at the desk and let us know you're here so we can give you a schedule. And then you design what the rest of your day looks like. It is meant to be fun. It's meant to be engaging and also meant to make you think a little bit. I will put the link to that in the chat. Again, we have dates in April, we have dates in May, and then we take a break for the summer where we focus on summer family fun, and then we come back in September. I'll also flag up right now that starting in September, later this year, one of the dates that we will offer will be disability history. So we've been thinking about this for a while now, that there are so many stories of people in St. Louis history who not only overcame their own challenges, but also worked really hard as activists to make their lives or the lives of others better. People like Ginny Laurie and Max Starkloff, like really thinking about how these were really disability rights advocates that were from right here in St. Louis. So in October of 2024, our theme for History Exploration Day will be disability history and activism. And we will really focus on the lived experiences of St. Louisans, both past and present, thinking about how they have made St. Louis a better place and made St. Louis the place it is today. So kind of bookmark that. It's not up on the website yet, but it will be. It will be shortly.
So that is the info that we have for you all. If you all have questions, you are free to ask them now. You can always email us. Our email addresses are up on the screen right now. Anybody have any? I haven't been looking at the chat.
I've been watching it for you.
Thank you.
With our last minute, Hannah, one question that was in the Q&A that I think you could talk to is times or events specifically for sensory friendly. I know we've had some discussions, but Hannah's been working on sensory friendly mornings.
Yeah, thank you so much. And regarding the sensory friendly programs, we are very excited because we are going to start for the first time the sensory friendly morning in August 19, 2024. So we have been working to organize very welcoming sensory friendly morning, which will take place in the History Museum. So that will be from 10 to 12. So we all want to invite people who have autism or people who are in the autism spectrum to come and participate in this sensory friendly morning, which will take place in August 2024. So basically this sensory friendly morning include different sensory friendly activities, as well as tour in Coloring STL. As Julie mentioned at the beginning, I think she mentioned that, if I'm not wrong, Coloring STL is very, very interactive and friendly exhibit. So you will enjoy this exhibit. So we will have a tour for that specific exhibit. So that's the big event that we are waiting for to have for people who are in the autism spectrum or having any sensory disabilities.
And thanks to both, all of you, Emily and Julie, so much good information. I don't want to leave though without asking one question, and it's a little bit outside of your realm, but first, let me say thank you to the History Museum, not only for making all of these amazing programs, but making them so welcoming to everybody, but also for being the host to Festibility. I'm on the board of the Festibility organization, and knowing that we've got the partnership of the History Museum really, really makes the event become such a seamless and fun thing to engage in. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I was thinking while you were talking about all the cool things that are happening there, and you're always updating exhibits. If we support people that have items that they think would be appropriate for the History Museum to have, whether they're disability specific, or I know right now you're having an African American collecting initiative, how could they donate items if they think that they are appropriate to go to the History Museum?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one we get a lot. I will say that let me start by saying what you cannot do, maybe, or what I want to
You can't just
discourage
bring it
people
and
from doing.
drop it at the welcome
No,
table.
no. Please do not do that. We have people try and do that, and while we understand the impulse, that's very kind. There is a process, a formal process for offering items for potential donation. One thing that people don't often know about museum work is that there's a big, intricate process for taking things into the collection. There are people who are responsible for maintaining the collection, and they have to meet regularly to look at all the things that have been offered for donation and say, yes, we're going to take this, or no, we're not going to take that. So I can find, there is a link on our website, and I can find that and put it in the chat, that you can contact our curatorial team and say, I have some objects, I think they would be good in your collection. Oh, there you go. Julie just put it in the chat, info about artifact donations. And so you have to go through this process. I will caution people, it can take a while, can be kind of a lengthy process, and it's not always going to be accepted into the main collection. But what I will say is that we have a couple of other places we can send things. I help manage our teaching collection, which I think we've mentioned we use for history exploration days and summer family fun. Great way to put history in people's hands. As long as you don't mind people touching your potential artifacts, the teaching collection could be another great place for it to live. So I would offer it to the main collection first through this link that Julie submitted, and then if it's not accepted there, you can offer it to the teaching collection, and we'll think about whether or not we could take it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that and just thank you again for coming, and maybe we'll circle back, and Hannah, you and Emily can come back and talk to us about Festibility before it occurs in October. But I'm excited about the 1904 World's Fair exhibit coming back, beyond excited about the new front of the building, and I'm ready to come and spend some time at the History Museum. So if you all are not going to the History Museum regularly, you are making a mistake. I ran into a friend of mine the last time I was there with her two little nieces, and she said that that's where her nieces asked to go all the time. So they're recognizing that the History Museum is just a wonderful resource that you can go to over and over again. So don't wait, go out and see the things that are available to us here in St. Louis. And thanks to you all. Have a great rest of your week.